So as of today, it's been exactly 6 months since the launch day of Metroid Dread, and I actually already made my review for the game on this channel. The thing is, I rushed out that review on October 10th, which was just 2 days after the game released. It was a very reactive review based on my feelings in that exact moment. But with now 6 months to objectively dissect this game, I've realized that many of my initial feelings have changed, some more dramatically than others. So without screwing around any longer, let's get into them. One of the most scrutinized aspects of this game after its release was its somewhat lacking soundtrack compared to the other Metroid games. But to be honest, the music in Dread has grown on me as time has gone on. I think many of us had a lot of nostalgia acting as an influential element to that criticism. I will admit, I would have loved to have heard a remixed version of Kraid's theme before our battle with the big fella. But it's also worth appreciating the fact that Mercury Steam wanted to provide new music in order to give us a unique experience. Not every lava level in the Metroid universe needs to have a remixed version of Lower Norfair's theme, but up until Dread, that's the state of Metroid games for many years now. I do think there's an appropriate amount of nostalgia and homages that need to be present in modern renditions. But in order to keep the franchise fresh and exciting moving forward, it's crucial for there to be new tracks and new enemies. Tracks like the themes for Cataris, the boss music for the Chozo Soldiers, and for Experiment Z57 are all new tracks that get me pumped up for battle every single time I hear them. The score certainly doesn't have the range and depth of the Prime series, but I do think I was initially more critical than I should have been. Something else I've noticed is that this game isn't nearly as difficult as most of us made it out to be. Now, is Metroid Dread a genuinely challenging game on its first playthrough? Definitely, but there isn't a single attack in this game that is unavoidable, and in fact, most of the attacks are actually pretty predictable. Like most old school NES and Super Nintendo games, the key is memorizing the enemy patterns and learning the subtle cues that indicate what's coming. Once you begin to discover this, much of this game actually becomes somewhat of a breeze. At this point, I've learned all of these patterns, and just recently on my Twitch channel, I beat the game on hard mode with 0% items. That's the extent I have to go to in order to keep this game challenging after several months into it. The game also has an overwhelming amount of checkpoints and save stations, so regardless of where you die, it never really feels all that punishing. Some may see this as a positive, and I understand that, but it also naturally makes the game less challenging when nearly every bit of progression is immediately saved with either a checkpoint or a save station. So again, is the game's difficulty designed for the modern day gaming journalist? Definitely not, as it expects you to learn and adapt to its rules. But let's also not act like this is one of the most difficult games of all time, because it's nowhere close to that either. Another thing I've noticed, and this is definitely the thing that's bothered me the most as time has gone on, is the fact that this game is much more linear than I initially thought. When I was first playing through Metroid Dread, the game gave me the illusion that the map was pretty wide open, and I had a significant amount of control about where I went. Unfortunately, that wasn't actually reality, as the game subtly funnels you in specific directions, oftentimes by sealing off certain exits, and usually by giving you prompt transportation to the exact part of ZDR that you need to access. Realizing this was actually pretty disappointing for me as a longtime Metroid fan. Part of the beauty of old school Metroid games was the fact that you would often get lost. That helpless feeling of not knowing where you are or where you need to go certainly helped give you that isolated experience that's become such a staple element of Metroid games. After getting lost time and time again, eventually discovering what you needed to do next naturally felt all the more rewarding because of how hard you had to dig to find it. Unfortunately, when it comes to exploration, Dread feels a bit like it's holding your hand along the way, as if you're not intelligent enough to figure it out on your own without the sealed off doors. Now, Metroid Dread certainly isn't the first 2D Metroid game to give a very linear experience, as Metroid Fusion not only funneled you in specific directions, but Adam is literally constantly marking the exact room you need to go to on a moment-to-moment basis. It's a great game in many ways, but the explorative nature was almost completely gone, as you're literally just following directions rather than making destination decisions on your own. If Mercury Steam are the ones responsible for developing the next 2D Metroid game, my hope is that they take this kind of feedback and incorporate a more free-flowing dynamic in the next installment. Other than the aspects I just spoke about, most of what I said in my initial review still holds true. The game is still remarkably gorgeous, Ravenbeak is an incredible villain, Samus has never acted more like a badass than she does in Dread, and she's never been more fun to control, with the smooth animations and with the excellent button mapping. With the extra time to factor everything in and truly consider my feelings about it, I think this game has taken just a slight step back since my initial review. Shortly after I completed it, I gave the game a 9 out of 10, but I'm dropping it now to an 8. It also slightly falls down my list of my favorite Metroid games, with now all 3 of the Prime games along with Super Metroid ahead of it. So what do you guys think? With more time to ponder Metroid Dread, how has your feelings evolved since this game released 6 months ago? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more Nintendo content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.